Okay, everybody, we are on episode 3 reviewing the slow motion behaviors of the horses in the What Do You See series. So I'm going to go over the footage now. We're going to watch it at the same time, and I'm going to talk about what I think I saw. And I want to discuss a little bit about some of the comments that came through, and we'll see what the difference is between myself and everybody else. I also want to say again that there's no real wrong answer, especially if your answer is subjective. We don't really know what horses are feeling. And in turn, sometimes it's best to objectively look at what's going on with them. So without further ado, let's make me small and talk about this footage that we've got. So let's play it back at full screen here. One thing about this footage, it is fast, and there's a lot of horses. I had a couple of people comment on how there's so much going on, too many horses to pay attention to all at once. And it's true, there is a lot of horses, a lot of ears, a lot of eyes, and a lot of movement. And that's almost it. Okay, we're going to watch that one more time. So we'll come back to here. Now, rightfully so, many people commented something must have been coming. Was it me? Was it something else? Because 3 out of 4 horses looked. It's true. This is a really obvious one. So it's a good catch. And then they stop paying attention one at a time. And then all the action kind of starts. Luke's doing something. Roni's in the background. Lena says, hey, what's up? Luke's moving forward. Yoka's not doing much. He's pestering Lena. Lena's pestering Roni. Yoka moves off. Roni leaves. Lena leaves. Luke's scratching, and then he goes to leave and catch up. And that is the end of it. So I'm going to just pause that there. It is a lot to pay attention to. And plenty of times, I don't catch all this stuff as well. And slowing it down, putting it in slow motion is the absolute only way that I can see what's happening at a much more detailed level. The basics I can kind of get. So let's watch this in slow motion and I will go through what I saw. So the scene starts off. There was a couple of people I think that commented on what this scene was. And essentially it was the horses. They were playing around in the arena for a little bit, had quite a bit of energy. And now they're standing around just chitty-chatting about whatever horses chitty-chat about. So it's the 4 of them here, and off in the background is Mr. Wild, and he's just chilling out, probably trying to see when he can come in. And because we're in slow motion, we're 8 times slower than normal speed. So very quickly, Roni notices something. Yoka is starting to look, and Lena starts to look after them. And it was that somebody had arrived. There was somebody up the driveway. So Luke sort of pays attention on this one. He gives a little bit of an ear, but his ear is also off to the left at Lena, whereas the others don't seem as concerned. We really want to pay attention to ears on a horse. Their ears will give us an idea of where their attention might go, more of their attention, like their eyes might go, but the ears will almost always be first. And I've talked about it in another video. If you put your hands behind your ears and you sort of direct sound around, it is amazing how much more you can hear, how much more concentrated of a sound you can hear. And that's how horses hear. So they start with their ears, their eyes, and then when it's really interesting, like it is now, they'll move their whole head to get both ears and both eyes more comfortably on the subject. So we'll continue playing this. So they take a little bit to check out what's happening. Roni sort of checks out first. Lena looks over more towards him. She's got an ear to the left, and Luke's got an ear to the right now because he has a fly. Somebody had commented that he's the only one shaking his tail. It's true. He's the only one who seemed to have some itchy flies bugging him. Now, right here was an interesting part, and I had a few comments on what's happening here. So let's look at this. Yoko puts her head down. Luke's nose is outwards. Lena had stepped forward. Luke's got his head down. Yoka brings hers up. Luke starts to bring his up. So let's play through that one more time. Let's watch that again. So they come off of the attention of whatever they're paying attention to up the driveway. Yoka looks to the left, comes down. Luke is coming down with her. And he's poking his nose outwards. So Luke's attention is on Yoka in this case. And I believe that he's making sure that she doesn't really come in. So her head coming down could be a request to him for some attention. I think it's a little bit of that. Now, you wouldn't, if you didn't live here, if you didn't watch these guys as much as I do, you might not know that Luke pushes her around, although Yoka, in the end, if she were so inclined, could probably make herself a little bit more pushy. I don't know if that's a good word for it. But Luke is essentially saying to her, stay there. So she puts her head down. And why Luke is putting his head down now, I don't know if I have an exact answer for it, but I'm guessing he's saying it's okay, or he's talking to Lena, one or the other. And he is swishing his tail still at these flies, so some of his attention could be towards his itchiness. Now at this point, he starts to pester Lena a little bit, and something is happening over in the yard beside us. So both Yoka and Roni are looking over there. Luke sort of checks it out, but he's also more on top of what Lena's doing. And he puts his nose on her neck. She checks him out. Both Yoka and Roni are still out of the communication process at the moment, other than ears. So Luke's trying to get Lena to do something. He moves forward. It's kind of specific. He needs to get ahead of her, because he doesn't get ahead of her, he'll push her forward. And I don't think Luke wants to push her forward. He wants her to go to the left. And unfortunately, Roni's in the way. So in this case, Lena will pester Roni to move him out of the way, but Roni doesn't move for Lena. So he takes one nibble to the cheek, and then she goes in one more time because Luke is telling her to go left. Roni says, no way, Jose, and comes up higher. So let's watch that little bit again, because it's important to watch what Roni's ears do, what his eyes do, how his nose and his face comes up to say an absolute no. Okay, so Lena comes in to nibble on a cheek because Luke's coming from her right. So there's Roni's ears and eyes, and he says, no way, you move it. So Lena must back up. She has no choice because Luke's telling her to go to left. She can't go left. And now here is where a lot of interesting stuff happens, because Yoka starts to make a move over. So let's watch this. Roni leaves instantly. He doesn't want anything to do with her. I'm not sure if he's afraid or just has no desire whatsoever, but he makes a hard left. Luke then points his nose outwards to tell Yoka to continue shuffling. So why Yoka came left could be that she thought maybe she could make a move in towards Luke. It could be that she was also going to say, Lena, don't come forward. Roni, don't come forward. And then starts to turn left into the crowd. But Luke here, we'll watch again, as she makes that left-hand turn, Luke is yelling at her. He says, keep shuffling. Lena still has to continue as Yoka kind of comes around and puts her left eye on them, her left ear on them. And so they make a beeline behind Luke. Luke is the only one who did not move. In fact, if anything, he cares so little he's scratching his face and his eye. But when he does notice that Lena's leaving the scene, he's leaving his company, he makes a quick move to come over to block and cut off her drive line. Now, it's not a lot of aggression or overly pushy stuff going on here. She's pretty calm about it and doesn't give too much trouble for the amount of activity that's going on. And you can kind of see what's really interesting is their feet are almost matching up. Let's watch that leave one more time. All the way back from here. So we see Yoka make a move in. Roni makes a hard left because he doesn't want any trouble. He's not a fighter. He's a tough guy, but he's not a fighter. Yoka then makes a straight line, even though she is curved in a bit. So she has the ability to come in, but doesn't because everybody leaves. And Luke was providing enough sort of pressure for her to not make a move inwards. So she goes off somewhere else, some other interest. And Luke catches up to Lena. Roni's on his way away. He's just trying to leave. And he is trying to draw Lena, but he doesn't have a lot of draw when there's other activity going on. But he is making a move forward, so Lena doesn't go so far ahead either. And Luke comes in and starts to direct Lena a little bit more with some nibbles on the legs and so on and so forth. So there was a lot going on in this one. If we go back to the very beginning and watch this, we can see it all happens very quickly. Check over to see who's there, kind of come back a little bit. Roni says, whatever, looks across the other yard. Luke says, hey, Yoka, don't come over this way. Don't worry about that. Thank you very much. Lena, get moving to the left. Come on, move left, move left. Lena says, Roni, you better start moving out of the way. Get out of the way. I nibble on your face. Nibble, nibble. He says, no way. Lena says, geez, I better go backwards. Luke's still making a left turn. He says to Yoka, no, don't come over here. And off he goes. And back in the distance, we can see Mr. Wilde is on his way forward. Let's take a look at that part real quickly in slow motion. He's on his way forward, probably because he believes some action is coming his way. So he started making a move as well when something happened. So that's kind of interesting. He's a long ways away to be listening to any communication that's going on, but it does happen. Horses are quite sensitive. So that's what I think is happening. I don't think that there's anything too exciting other than what we can look for is nose movements, ear movements, eye movements, position of the body in front or behind, depending on if a horse wants a horse to go left or right or forward or backwards. So Roni's movements was essentially the don't go forward, go backwards because I'm not going to move out of the way. That was his right here in slow motion where he gets nibbled on the cheek. So when he's saying, I'm not going to move and you have to go backwards, he's going to get higher up and a little more frustrated. And he's going to sort of indicate, see how he comes forward a little bit? So that's going to mean Lena needs to go backwards. Luke is also in front of Lena, so he either wants to turn her to the left or have her go backwards. But initially he was kind of thinking of her going forward, but Yoka would be in the way, and I think Luke knew that. He says, don't interrupt, I'm very busy doing some stuff, whatever he's doing. So the four of them were a good mix. It was an interesting scene. We can catch quite a bit of chit-chat that goes on in this one, and I thought it would be interesting. So that's it for now, and I will see you guys in episode 4, which will be coming out very soon. So thanks for watching. See you then.